Mr. President.
The senator from Tennessee is recognized.
I support the budget point of order that's been raised, but let me just make a point here. I had an amendment that would have kept this budget point of order from being a problem. And the reason that we are where we are is that both Republicans and Democrats had amendments to this bill. The ones that we've put forth would have solved this budget point of order. But because my amendment has not been heard, the gentleman from Pennsylvania has raised this budget point of order, and the fact is that I hope it will be sustained. But what's the shame of all of this is that both Democrats and Republicans had amendments to this bill. The amendments that I put forth, I think, would have carried the day. It would have allowed the FDIC to actually charge enough money in the diff for these transaction accounts so that we wouldn't have had the budget point of order that's been raised, but the amendment has not been heard. The leader filled the tree, and therefore no amendments, not Republican amendments, not Democrat amendments could have heard. The other amendment that I had, which would have helped even more or would have added to the solution, is the fact we could have made this program voluntary. So if there are community banks around the country that wanted to participate in this program, they could have done so on a voluntary basis. So two amendments, one that would have forced the FDIC to actually charge enough money to make this account actuarially sound. That amendment's not being heard. An amendment to allow this to be voluntary so that if there are community banks that are struggling and feel like they need to protect these accounts and still keep them in their bank, they could have actually paid the actuarial sound amount to make that occur, but neither one of those amendments have been heard. So I would just say to everybody in this body that is tired of this place not working because neither side of the aisle has the opportunity to vote for amendments, to have amendments heard and to be voted on, I would say to both sides of the aisle that we absolutely should vote to uphold this point of order and hope that when we come back next year that both Republicans and Democrats have the opportunity to represent their constituents back home by offering amendments that can actually be voted on in this body. So I thank the gentleman for raising the point of order. I wish that we could have made this work for our country in an appropriate way, but what we're going to have today is just a simple vote. And I would just say this, and I probably shouldn't. The only reason we are voting on this amendment, the only reason, is that my friends on the other side of the aisle know that Dodd-Frank has hurt community bankers throughout this country. And they're trying to throw a bone out to community bankers across this country, and they're trying to get us to vote against it, and that's not the way this place should work. I've got amendments that would have fixed this bill, would have made it work for community bankers, and we could have gone forward. The only reason we're doing it this way is because my friends on the other side of the aisle know that the provisions in Dodd-Frank are hurting community bankers, and they're trying to throw out a bone. I yield the floor.